What's poppin', family? We back once again with the much anticipated second episode of the Rosedale Part podcast for doers, thinkers, writers, readers, and everything in between. Just want to give y'all a quick update if you don't know or don't remember because it's been so long. My name is Scotty V. And it's been quite some time I stepped in front of the mic simply because work at the end of the year got a little hectic, got a little crazy, and just to give a quick update, I've been kind of situating myself for some new steps and new things I want to conquer this year, starting with this summer, Q2, leading into Q3, and I just finished up my 5th year as a ESL teacher, teacher in general, and I kind of got mixed feelings about continuing, and I guess that's where I'll start this episode. Where is education headed, and how exactly can we ensure that it's going to be beneficial to our children, to these babies out here? Because when I see my fellow colleagues in education, specifically in the classroom, it's disheartening. We're burnt out. We're confused. We're agitated. We're angry. And the multitude of reasons we could give on why these things are true is it's feel like it's falling on deaf ears. And I have a lot of friends and family members in higher places in the system, in these school districts, on school boards, and even from them I can't really get clear answers. Where is it heading? How are we ensuring that these children, these young adults, are being prepared for the world outside of the classroom? And it doesn't really matter where you go. From the K through 12 level, can we honestly say that standardized testing is preparing these bright minds, these future whatever we need, for life, for the balance of mental, physical strain, responsibility, accountability? I look at some of these students and, the 15, 16, 17, even the 12, 13, 14, I look at some of these students that I've taught myself. And I knew I was unprepared, but I felt like I was a bit more prepared than this. I'm in my mid-30s, and when I was in high school, you could flunk out, you could fail. That isn't a reality for these kids. So it's almost like they're passing them along, and they have a little to no sense of consequence for the lack of trying, laziness, the omission of your responsibilities as a student in just high school. It's worrisome. It's scary because at some point they're going to need to step up, and this curriculum and this need for said standardized testing, especially in the state of Texas. I'm a public school baby. I graduated from a public high school, went to a public middle school. The standardized testing is doing nothing but turning them to drones into robots. And it's giving them no clear goal other than to go to work and a party. Because let's be honest, there is a play for these kids to come out with a high school education, make good money, great money. A lot of these companies, major companies, Fortune 500 companies, are lowering their standards of what a person may need for a good job. Jobs that were entry level positions for me, who graduated from college almost 12 years ago. They're getting straight out of high school, and I think it's a great thing, but I think there's a play involved. You want to turn some of these kids into robots that will forever work in this assembly line system of this great salary that sounds good for an 18-year-old, but probably won't change by the time they're 30. They'll be stuck in this position. And I often share that with my students. Don't become a cog in the wheel that keeps you stagnant. Your education, I don't care where you get it, how you get it. If it's self-taught, if you're going to community college, if you're going to a trade school, if you're going to a 4U university, it will be paramount to how far you can reach. Because I don't believe these systems, these education systems, and I'm speaking for the state of Texas, they really care if you can reach the stars. We got jobs for y'all to do, and we'll probably keep you in them for the rest of your life if you don't want something more for yourself. It's a scary thought, man. It's a scary thought. We're not preparing these kids to do the basics, knowing how to budget when they get that first real paycheck. And it's nice. Like some of these kids, there are jobs out there that were only requiring a high school education that's going to make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Without financial literacy, at 18, I can tell you myself, I would have blew and be so fiscally responsible. If I could, I would, more than likely, I would have no money in my account ever. I would still have overdraft issues. I'm speaking for myself. At 18, I mean, I knew nothing. And we're going to give them this responsibility to have a check, to eventually want to move out, have their own place, have a car note. We're not going to tell them about taxes. A lot of kids are getting this money on their own already from TikTok, from social media. Nobody's teaching them about taxes. We know what happens when Uncle Sam comes a knocking. He wants his money. I know a lot of things that we teach in these math classes, but I rarely see anything about taxes. We teach them percentages, taxes, rent, tariffs. I think kids hear the word and they understand it, but they're not. And a lot of them are paying for a lot of the things that they're using, so they don't really get it. Now, if you grew up from humble beginnings in the inner city, I had a mother who busted up behind trying to and successfully giving me the things I need, but I still grew up in a little tough neighborhood, Rosedale Park. The Rosedale Park edition, which is the nicest edition of the neighborhood I'm from. And it was tough for a lot of my friends. And they didn't even have money to buy college applications, the fees. And on top of that, you're not teaching them anything for the next step. It's worrisome. And to pivot off that, where's education heading? As a person who did 4 years of college and then an extra 2 in my postgraduate studies, I can share with you, my audience, that I'm teaching these kids, man, it's better to be skilled than educated. I feel like college was pushed on me. It was pushed on my generation, and I did what I thought society wanted me to do. I did what I thought would make me the most successful. And maybe I take responsibility for not choosing a more financially prosperous lane, such as, STEM. I was never really good at math, had no interest in science, but I can see how those of us who buckled down and went through STEM, engineering, the medical field, science, technology, they eating right now. And I'm, especially for my friends, I'm so happy for them. But I feel like as somebody who didn't go that route, it's my responsibility to share with this upcoming generation. Go get a skill, not just a trade, but a skill. We all know how many plumbers we're going to need in the next few years. We all know how many electricians we're going to need. 500,000 to millions of these tradesmen are going to be needed. Not to mention HVAC, automotive technicians, a plethora of other skills and trades that are going to have empty seats. And this is where I'm specifically talking about young brothers. My young sisters have no problem finding their way, and it actually adds to that age-old tale that women mature faster than men. I think that isn't by design. It may be by upbringing. It may be by circumstance, but I want to speak to my young brothers. I don't care what color you are. I want you to listen, but specifically to my black young brothers. To be skilled is going to be far more important in the upcoming years than to be educated. Unless you're going to STEM. Now, if you're going to STEM, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a nurse, engineer, you want to work in IT, cool. That doesn't mean you got to go to a 4-year university, but I understand that. You're doing well, and you're going to do well. But to those who didn't know, like I didn't know, trades are there. The 4 trades I mentioned, not to mention culinary. I know a lot of us want to be entrepreneurs now. As I said, they're killing the streaming game until that becomes oversaturated. I'm not saying have a plan B. I'm saying have a plan. Be skilled at something. Go get a trade. Be a weldsman. There are so many trades that you get into at 18, and a year, 2 years, we're working in your profession, in apprenticeships, and then not too long after that, you can start your own business. You can be the entrepreneur that you want to be, and transition into other businesses from that one skill. I smile when I see my black plumber come through, my black HVAC technician, and a lot of them even went to the service, to the military, and I support that as well. I got a bunch of friends that I went to high school with that are military men, and it served them. They have families. They're being able to provide for their families. They transitioned well. These are the things I constantly preach to my students, silently and secretly, of course, because you got to stay on curriculum when you're a teacher. But to those that don't come from a gold plate with a silver spoon, your next step is imperative. They're not playing with you out here, man. And you want some money. I know what you want, some money. I know you want some money. I wanted some money. The streets ain't gonna give it to you, bro. Scamming, trapping, robbing. It look easy, man, but it's hard on you. I got the testimonies from close friends and family of mine. It's hard on you, man. That can't be our only option. And when it is, you get boxed in and you make some choices that you feel like you got to make, and then you end up having to pay for them on the back end. And though I've seen a lot of people rise from that, it is possible. I'm never saying that that is the end of your story. You can rise from anything as long as you draw breath. You know, God give you another day. You can come back from anything, but you know, we can break it down into what is hard and what makes your life harder. And at this point, man, you gotta want college. You got to want college to even want to go, to even have a chance of going. You gotta want it. If you don't want it, you ain't got to go, player. I'm telling you. I'll put in some links in the description. We need those craftsmen. We need those skilled individuals, professionals, because, man, the way a plumber can charge you, the way an electrician can charge you, somebody comes replace your water heater, somebody who can fix your AC, they make money sometimes hand over fist. And it don't take you that long. You know, get out here and get you some money, but it's going to take hard work. It's going to take 50, 55, 60 hours a week. It's going to take your weekends away from you. That was the hardest thing in the world for me when I got out of college. I'm like, man, I went to college to work Monday through Friday, get my weekends off. Nope. Sometimes you're going to have to work 6-7 days a week, man. Especially if you want to live on your own, especially if you want your car. Nice car, decent car at that. It's going to take, man, a lot of work. And I think a lot of my students aren't really prepared for that. Like, you're going to be working a lot. Like, you're going to have a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, man. I found a way to squeeze fun in, but whatever you're doing, man, you're going to have to work, man, a lot. And I was in jobs. I wasn't even in careers like that coming out of college. Once you get in these trades, you can really get into you making some real money and being skilled and being an asset to society. You know, you're an essential worker and you ain't no nurse. You ain't no doctor. You ain't no therapist. You're an electrician. You're essential. You're about to be essential. The way the country's going, we know the statistics. Shout out to the Grits and Eds podcast. He broke down the statistics. And I'll put some up here as well, but you can be a commodity, a hot one. That's what I tell them, man. But it's going to be a lot of stuff you don't want to do. It's going to be early mornings, late nights. Sometimes you're going to have to get and literally put your feet in boots in shit. Excuse my language, but we're going to need you. If you have a vision and you don't know how you're going to get there, I'm telling you, before you enroll, look at a trade. Look at a skill. A lot of y'all are coming up on a fork in the road. And just to be honest with you, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay if you're unsure about where you want to go and you're kind of in this crossroad. You make the decision that is best for you and your future, not your right now. And of course, that brings us to our mental food part of the show. Your word of the day with Scotty V. And the word for today is going to be chiasm. That's chiasm. It's a noun. Basically means a place where paths cross. A place where two paths cross, more specifically. And for everybody who, as I said, is just starting life after high school, your paths are going to cross with a lot of different people. And contrary to belief, everybody doesn't have to be doing the same thing, but there has to be some commonality in your goal. Are you moving forward towards success in a legal manner? And I think those from my community can understand this, in a legal manner. Are you being productive legally? Everybody can get some money. I mean, it's out here. But is your plan to reach financial freedom, or is it just to have a job? It doesn't matter if one friend goes to trade school, one friend goes to community college, one friend goes to culinary school, trying to be a plumber, trying to go to a 4-year university, trying to be a doctor, trying to be a lawyer, trying to be a nurse, trying to be a teacher. Surround yourselves with people when y'all get together and you brainstorm, you are enriching each other. Your chiasms, especially in your 20s, may have lasting effects for years. So you want to make sure they're beneficial on both sides. You want to make sure they're healthy. And that actually segues into our next topic. What happened to summer jobs? I was a kid who started working at 15. And when I say summer jobs, I don't mean like grabbing a summer job from like Taco Casa or like Wendy's or something. I'm like a real summer job. Like I started working, like I said, I started working at 15. I was working at Six Flags over Texas. If you've ever been to the DFW area, you get on 30, you can't miss Six Flags over Texas. It's huge. I started working there, and I actually learned a lot about that fiscal responsibility and that importance of first time receiving a check and saving my money. Because at 15, man, I spent my whole check if I could. As I got older, I ended up working there until I graduated. But as I got older, I learned that if I wanted stuff, I just kicked back, I saved, and I learned how to budget. A lot of these kids don't go get summer jobs. Specifically, my athletes. They be at these tournaments, AAU camps, which is great. You know, I'm not one of those. I'm a huge sports guy, but I'm not gonna really give my take on AAU. I'm gonna bring one of my homeboys who played college ball and kind of get his own spiel on it. But I do think there's a place where you can focus on the sport you play and build character in the work field, in the job market, because you learn a whole lot having a job, especially at that age. And you kind of, it's your first real sense of independence. Like, as I said, I know plenty of people who've hustled since they were 13, 14 years old. You know, sometimes that can get you in some trouble that you don't want to be in. So I'm only talking about legal tender. No disrespect to anybody. I ain't knocking anybody. Do what you got to do if that's what you want to do it. But legal tender, having a job can actually change how your whole perspective on life and how you look at your parents or parent or whoever you staying with. And it's fun. Well, let me speak for myself. Six Flags was great, man. Meet new people all across the Metroplex, people from Louisville, from Dallas, from DeSoto, from Arlington, Mansfield, different parts of Fort Worth, Euless, North Richland Hills, everywhere, all over the Metroplex. You have coworkers from everywhere. The girls, for me, it was It was mostly about the girls. I loved working. I worked in like 3 or 4 different departments, and back then it was just fun, man. You go job, do your job, just cut corners, try not to get caught. Um, Flirt with the girls. You have girlfriends all over the park. I'm not, speaking as someone who knew somebody did that, not like I did it. Um, but it was just fun, man. I feel like kids are missing out on that. Summer jobs, man, used to be a real thing. And, I would encourage people who have children or younger brothers, cousins, nieces, nephews, man. If they ain't on that, kind of push them out there. It's a good way to grow, good way to mature, especially. It's a good way to gain confidence because I see that lacking not only in our young people because we tell them they don't touch grass. I think we got to give our YMs our YMs. I like how that young dude he said that don't call me a YN, call me a YM, young man. Young men, they're confident on the screen. They're confident in the text message. They're even confident if they see you every day. But that cold approach, man, they losing that. And my summer job taught me the game, really. I mean, I learned it before that. I guess when I was at that summer job, it was different than talking to girls in my school. You walk up to your girl at your school, I mean, you're going to see her another day. So it really wasn't but just walking up to random girls, man, I learned that when I was in my summer jobs. Like, you got to have the confidence, and it's scary, and that really affects these young dudes, man. And I'm not clowning y'all. I can't really give you any advice either. I know that sounds bad, but I can't really tell you because half the time it's just you just gotta be bold, man. You gotta hold your nuts, man. Like, you can't be scared. And back then they call you scared if you didn't want to walk up to a girl. Like my partners, man, they embarrass you. Man, you scared? Hey, little mama. Hey, Red. All that. I mean, really, really get into it. So, I'm gonna go deeper into that, but that's important. That's gonna be important for us. Reigniting that confidence back into these young dudes, man. Because, the ladies are complaining. I see them on social media. And if you don't try to teach them at 15, about 25, 35, they still doing the same stuff. Creating content about what's wrong with women instead of really just approaching them. And I know it's a fine line between being creepy and being, there's so many different variables that have come into place to have a successful cold approach as a man. But I mean, you never know until you don't try, and not trying, man. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that, man. Y'all got to give it a try. As I said, I'll go a little deeper into it and how I think it affects us starting at 15 and leading into your 20s and kind of depending and relying on social media and relying on the text, the typed word rather than the natural word that I think every man possesses. Everybody got some sort of sauce, man. You just gotta find what's yours. I'm really gonna focus in on that. Like I said, next episode. Of course, as I said, man, I'm doing this strangely enough, as I said on episode 1, to kind of just bring some positivity into this space, man, especially for us. Like I said, I'm not going to give you much advice. I'm just going to give you a perspective on what you can do to make your life better, to, change your mindset. And I don't have anything you change it to, but just make it positive, man. Bring some light into your mind, And that starts with a lot of things. For me, it's God. It's learning something new every day. It's being physically active. It's being vulnerable when there's time to be vulnerable. It's recognizing my weaknesses. And as I said, man, we're gonna go deeper into it or further in the episodes, man. I always appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And I hope y'all get to grow with me moving forward. Lastly, I just want to put this out there. I am working on some writings. I actually did a few short stories on my blog. Again, it's posted in the description below and also on my profile. Y'all make sure, I should have said at the beginning, tap in, subscribe, tap that button, tap that bell for any notifications when I post, of course. But I'm a dreamer, I'm a writer, and I'll pose a question for my small but growing audience. What do y'all want to read? I'm more of a coming to age romance novelist type of dude. And I know that may be strange coming from a black guy, or maybe not, but, and this is for men and women. What's real romance to you? Is it cheesy now? What would make you believe it? You know, we get and I'll go into who I believe is putting out movies that may be a detriment to my community, but we get that. We get the hustlers, the gangsters, the bosses. We got all that. What do y'all want to see when it comes to love? What would make it real to you? What would make you watch it? Not reality TV, not mess, not chismosa, as my students would say, not gossip, but authentic storytelling. What would make you believe it, man? As I said, I'm a aspiring writer. I write every day. Like I said, check my blog out. Got a few scripts and I'm trying to get off. If you know anybody, tell them look me up. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, that's all I got for the return episode. Scotty V, in the place to be, the Rosedale Park, Fort Worth, Texas. Stand up. And we gonna rock out to the next episode 3, man. I thank you again. Subscribe. Follow me. I don't know how many times I got to say it, but I'm saying it again. I really rock with y'all, man. Appreciate it. As always, peace easy.